If you're in a crisis and the media shows up, do you know who your spokesperson is? I'm Chris Kuban, CEO and founder of Chemistry PR and Multimedia.
And I'm George Sells, Director of Client Services and Content here at Chemistry. This is an important question. Assuming you have that person in place, there are a few things you need to be thinking about. Have you ever discussed with them how they're going to talk about your business with a reporter? Do they know your company's messaging? Are they really up to speed on it? And one other thing, have they ever practiced? Practice makes perfect. All important things. And if you answer no to any of these questions, you could have a big problem. A problem we're going to try to help you solve or at least mitigate here this morning.
Yeah, and sometimes exactly who is doing the speaking, it's not your senior most executive. It should be your person that has the most expertise in what you need to be talking about.
And that's the one thing. I see this all the time, and I've seen this in other places that I've worked. The big boss, the CEO or the head of the organization, they want to be the voice. And sometimes they're just not very good at it. And this is a hard thing to do because you have to be able to have a really honest conversation, sometimes with the person who's signing your paycheck on every other week, about the fact that they're not doing the best for the organization by being that voice. Maybe it's your communications director, maybe it's their number two. Ideally, you want to find that person that really is comfortable on camera, comfortable talking to a journalist, and will do the best job putting your company in the best light.
Or maybe it's an outside firm telling your organization kind of who should be that person on camera. But practice does make perfect, is testing those people under fire and doing those rehearsals are very important because you want to be clear and have that clarity and really have that upfront knowledge because practice does make perfect under fire.
Now, the next thing you want to do and be thinking about is understanding your executive's voice. Who is the person doing the talking and how are they going to interact? You also have to be thinking about the situation in which they're doing the interview. And what I'm talking about here is basically the idea we all know about of an introvert versus an extrovert. You would think an extrovert being your on-camera voice is a good thing. They're going to chat it up, they're comfortable, and that's awesome, except when you get into a crisis situation, we always recommend that you talk if at all possible, but you want to have a very narrow set of guardrails for something like that. The extrovert in that position may not be the greatest one to be doing it. The introvert, conversely, will be fine in that spot where they know exactly what to say and they don't want to say much more anyway. But if you get them into kind of a fluff story, a feature piece, you want them to be able to kind of get out there and really do their thing, really just bring the company in a good light.
Well, the bottom line is,
they want to have fun.
In the extrovert situation is you need to know when to shut up. And in a crisis situation, I mean, we really deal with message mapping and how to hone in on your message. I mean, message mapping really deals with clarity first, and then controlling the conversation, and then being confident under pressure. And that's what developing a message map actually allows you to do. I have stacks of these message maps that I keep in my car, and we do this because if any client has a crisis, we need to be able to respond instantaneously and understand what that home base is, what the positive proof points are, what they're all about in one line, one little 5 to 7 second soundbite.
And we're going to get to more of that in just a second. But one thing you can do to help your introvert, if you do have that person doing the talking, is create a situation for them where they're comfortable. Give them bullet points. You're going to need to give them bullet points regardless. But say they're doing the interview on Zoom. You can tape that puppy right underneath the camera on your monitor, and you can sit there and they can have their list of bullet points that they're looking right at it while still looking at the camera. And that person you might want to put in the position of being on Zoom to do an interview because you have that cheat sheet you can put right there in front of them. If you can't, it's time to go back to school, good old-fashioned studying, because that person does need to be able to hit those points. And so you need to give them the talking points that you've established. So we're going to get into the message mapping here more in just a second. You need to be able to give them those points, and they need to know them like the back of their hand. They're going to have to study up and be able to talk through it if it's an in-person interview situation. It's really, really important, though, that they understand the messaging and they're comfortable talking. And like you said, with the extroverted personality, it's just a function of shutting up. You've got the points. say what you need to say, and swallow your stories, as a dear friend of ours sometimes says.
Well, and sometimes credibility means more than just the title. And that's really important, to find the right person and then practice with them, is to make sure that they understand what the home base is and what the key points are on the message map.
And that's the talking point piece. Talk about that some more.
Well, I mean, practice doesn't make you scripted. It basically makes you more confident in what you're trying to say and how you're getting it across. And you don't want to start practicing when the cameras are rolling. And that's the worst time to start practicing. So you might think it's trivial, and you might think it's really just kind of frustrating to have to go through this process, but you'd rather do it and understand it and really get it down pat before you get into that crisis scenario where you have a fire, or someone dies, or someone is in a construction site where they fall into cement, or they get a trench collapses, or something of that, and someone comes and shoots someone on your work site. I mean, there's so many different crises that can occur.
And you can't predict them. I mean, that's the thing. You
Exactly.
just it's the old line of everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. I mean, it's the truth. I say it a lot. It's the truth, and you can't predict what's going to happen. We could sit here and we could tick off 20 different things that might come up, and it'll be the 21st that'll be your crisis. But to the point of practice, the message mapping Chris was talking about, which is vital. You just again, those concise talking points about your company that are important. If you're a construction firm, you always want to lead with safety of your workers, safety for those around them, quality of product. So if you think about it, anything that might happen on a construction site, you can kind of go back to that key messaging. That's just one example. And you want to spend time and do things that are specific to what you do, what your company does. But the most important thing, like you said, practice. Set up an iPhone, sit down with the person that you're training, and act like a reporter. Think of the questions that they might ask this person, and ask them all of them. Do it on camera on the iPhone. Then sit down and watch it together. Find the things where they can be better. Find the things where they did really well and you want to reinforce that. Like, yeah, you did that great. Let's be sure to sit on that. Find the places they can improve, and critique the work. Now, this requires honest conversation between you and the person who likely you work for, that you're training on this, because you have to be comfortable saying, yeah, you're mispronouncing that word over and over again, or yeah, you have this tick you do every time they ask you a question, or something like that. You've got to be comfortable doing that and working with that. But the point is, and I think that this is probably the key here and what we want to talk about, it's the fact that you would much rather be doing this on some random Tuesday afternoon where they can shoehorn an hour into their schedule than doing it 20 minutes before a reporter shows up when you've got a crisis on your hands.
Exactly, because when a crisis occurs, you're actually doing 20 other things at the same time. You're trying to talk to reporters. You're making sure that your employees are safe. You're making sure that possibly people are clear of the situation. You're making sure that people are going to the hospital and are being cared for. And there's a million other things that you're in control of. What you're not in control of is the reporters and talking to them. You want to make sure you have your message down and you know what it is before you walk in there, so you're prepared.
Well, these are the tips that you can take and work with yourself. If you want to go a little bit deeper, do a deeper dive, we're really good at that. We'd love for you to give us a call here at Chemistry, PR, and Multimedia, and we'll be back with more tips like these next time.
Sounds good. Thanks, George.
Thanks, Chris. And if you want more tips like these, please be sure to like us, follow us on all your favorite social media platforms. We will have lots of information for you there, but please do follow us so we can keep doing this material for you.